Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today I'm taking a closer look at installing and listening to the MBRP XP Series replacement muffler available for the 2019 and newer Ram 1500 with the factory dual exhaust. You should be checking this out if you're looking for a cost-effective alternative to a full catback that beefs up the sound profile, volume, and gives you a small bump in horsepower and torque with something as simple as a muffler replacement. Now this one here from MBRP uses 409 stainless steel throughout, 3-inch inlet and outlet that works perfectly in conjunction with your factory dual exhaust system. Now, if your Ram did not come with a dual exhaust, this one's not going to be for you, but there are other replacement muffler options out there for the single exhaust guys. But if you have a dual exhaust, as you heard from our sound clips, I'm going to say this one's getting 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter as far as mufflers go. Now obviously a complete catback replacement is going to give you even more volume potential along with a bunch of different more unique tones. But again, if you're looking to keep costs down and just go with a more simple muffler, this is going to be one of the best ways to go for the best of both worlds sound. At idle and just low cruising speeds from red light to red light on your daily work commute, this guy is going to sound almost completely stock inside the truck. Outside, it has a deeper, more throaty exhaust tone. Now, as you get up into the wide open throttle area or red line, it's definitely going to give you a louder bark, but it's still not going to be the loudest of the loud, making it a really great daily driver option. So if you're cruising on the highway at low RPMs in a high gear with the family or kids in the back seat, if you're trying to just have a nice conversation, you don't have to worry about any drone inside the cabin. Again, at wide open throttle, you will hear it. It's just not going to blow your ears out. It's a really tamed option with a really crisp tone. As far as the price is concerned, it's going to come in right around $320. Install-wise, I am giving it 3 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Not because it's overtly difficult, it's just going to require some extra tools like a Sawzall or a cutting tool of your choice. Replacing a factory Ram muffler does require you to cut one side of that muffler off, right where it splits off into the dual tailpipes over the axle. So you'll just make one very simple, very quick cut, and then you can swap out the muffler. So I'm giving it 3 out of 3 wrenches for the guys out there who may be a little bit uncomfortable making cuts. Again, it's a super simple job. I'm even going to walk you through the entire process. As long as you have a Sawzall on deck with some gloves and some eye protection, it is something you can do in the driveway at home, and I'll walk you through it. It's going to take you about an hour from start to finish. What do you say we get started? Tools used in the install include an impact gun, a Sawzall or a cutting tool of your choice, 14 and 16 millimeter swivel sockets are recommended, 15 millimeter deep socket, 14 millimeter wrench, and gloves and eye protection. First step for the uninstall, there is some cutting. So I've got my Sawzall here with a thin curved metal blade. What we're going to do is start on the rear end of our muffler toward the rear of our truck. We're going to cut right up against the weld that connects the muffler to the extension pipe that splits into the dual exhaust. So you're just going to basically use that weld there as a marker and cut directly next to it all the way through. Now when you're cutting, you want to make sure you have the proper eye protection. I recommend also using some gloves. Now that the cutting's out of the way, grab a hanger removal tool. We're going to pop the 2 hangers off right above the muffler. I am using a pole jack underneath of our muffler just for some added support. All right, there's one more hanger by the flange that we're going to have to disconnect. You also want to make sure you're pulling off that ground strap. So we disconnect that, use the hanger tool to pop this guy off. Next, switch over to a 16 millimeter socket. I'm using a swivel socket just to make life a little easier. Get the 2 bolts off of that flange. Once you get the second bolt out, this whole thing is free. I have a pole jack on the other side for support. Just make sure you're ready to grab it. From here, you can lift the entire thing off in one piece. All right, so we got our factory muffler off of our 1957 Ram behind me, and it's on the table next to our MBRP option. And I want to take you through some quick similarities and differences here, starting with the most obvious, size. Now, your factory muffler is absolutely huge. It keeps that same cylindrical shape there, just like your new muffler from MBRP, but the size here is incorporating a lot of the baffling on the interior of the muffler, a lot of interior muffler chambers that are really baffling that aggressive sound. It's robbing you of some power as well. It's really slowing down the airflow from the inlet to the outlet where your tailpipes come out over the axle. Now, that baffling on the inside muffling all of that sound is removed in your new MBRP muffler, which is more of a small bullet style muffler as opposed to the big cylinder. This bullet style muffler is a single chamber muffler that's borderline a straight pipe. There's not a lot of baffling on the inside there. It's really removing the airflow restriction, removing all the airflow kinks that you get from the factory one to give you a small bump in that horsepower and torque, a little bit more acceleration there, throttle response, and it's also going to beef up the sound profile as you heard from our sound clips earlier on in the video. The nice thing about this is the size here makes it a lot easier to install. It's going to pop on to the factory flange at the inlet, and it's going to slide on to the remaining tailpipe that we had after we cut off the factory muffler. So really easy to get to, and it's a lot easier to see and maneuver around those hangers going into the factory red isolators. Now, there's new hardware included in the kit to bolt down the new flange here. You just want to make sure that the factory gasket is still on that factory flange, left on the pipe that's still on the vehicle. If it came off with your muffler, pop that off, stick it back on the flange still on the vehicle, and you'll be able to reuse that for the new muffler. Ours is still there, so what we're going to do next is bolt it down using the new bolts and clamp it down using a new clamp. First things first, put a clamp on the outlet end of your new MBRP muffler. You're going to connect that to the cut portion of the over axle pipe. Slide that guy all the way on to make sure it's nice and secure. Let's connect the hangers on the opposite side, and then we'll connect the hangers on this side and then bolt it down. Now, if you need to, you can lubricate your factory isolators, but you're just basically going to bring it up and connect that so it slides into place. Perfect. Let's connect the rest of our hangers, and then we'll come back and bolt down the flange. All right, on the opposite end, you have a short hanger and a long hanger. It doesn't really matter which one you start with first. I'm just going to pop our long one in. So that slides into place, then you want to bring it up and connect the other one. All right, next up, we're just going to connect our flange, put the new hardware through the inlet, pinch them together. It may take some convincing just to pull it over, but you want to make sure you're basically just closing that gap. Pinch them together and put the nut on the backside. Once you have one in place, it should make it easier getting the other one in. Now for this, we're going to tighten this guy down, and you want to make sure that you're really closing the gap here and that this gasket that I mentioned earlier is in place. Tighten it down so there's no air leak. For this, I'm going to use a 14mm swivel socket just to help me get on these angles, and a 14 wrench and tighten them down. You can see that's got a completely flush seal. Same thing on the top. All right, now we can switch over to a 15 socket and tighten down the clamp on the other side. All right, get your clamp in place on the end, grab a 15 deep socket and tighten it down. All right, once it's nice and flush, make sure that clamp is nice and tight so there's no air leak, you're good to go. That's going to wrap up my review and install for the MBRP XP Series replacement muffler for the 19 and newer dual exhaust factory Ram 1500s. Get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.